I understand more kind of what was driving decisions now looking back at it, because I'm like, oh yeah, I totally did this because I lived through this pain and this pain. And so many stereotypical answers were like, oh, you're just the guy that gathers the data. And it took very good coaches that understood how managing a staff works to really empower me to make a big difference. And that is a big deal. Like that's a big thing about coaching for me, is like really empowering the entirety of the coaching staff and distributing responsibilities and all that. And also reminded me all the times how analyzing the big picture and what is applicable before you go down a rabbit hole to analyze something and to study. That is really important. That's something that I wish I knew more and more. Like I had in my mind as a younger self, is because you can go down a rabbit hole and learn something and study something for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then you're like, wait, but how do I use this information? How is it actionable? Then all of a sudden you go to your head coach or to your sporting director and they're like, oh yeah, we already knew that. Yeah, you demonstrated it empirically through research, but okay, thanks for confirming it. Instead of, rather than, oh, let's look into something where we know little, or something that if we learn, we can apply to our coaching, to our planning directly. So, like analyzing the big picture and what is applicable before you go after something is
Oh
definitely
yeah,
something you might.
we talked before about managing your inputs and know what kind of output you have and what kind of measuring tool you use. In the end, it's always about that for sure. And you mentioned something really particular, not really particular for the States, but really particular maybe for Europe. And that's something also that caught my eye, and also something that researching more for VOLLEYBRAINS and watching more college games, more female games in this case, because it's easier to find also, is that matter of how a head coach is also a manager of his coaching staff and empowering them, etc. Of course, watching those games and there's a timeout, you see the coaching, how the first thing that you think is, okay, that's a bit much. But then in the end, you realize talking to those people, like my first conversation was with John Cook. I'm like, oh, this is actually great for the game because they're empowering people, giving people responsibilities, letting people grow. And of course, this captain of the boat, of the ship, will stay there for many years, but other people, okay, they run through the system, they get educated and they can do their thing somewhere else with that experience.
And
And
all of a sudden there's opportunities, there's more opportunities
yeah,
to demonstrate, there's more motivation to actually do quality work. And that's the baseline, I think, of professional
yeah,
volleyball, is professionalize volleyball. Not even professional, I don't want to say professionalize pro volleyball, because we need to professionalize volleyball. And the example you used with John Cook in the US, but many others
yeah,
aside from John, is roles and responsibilities and holding people accountable to it, which I'm not saying that European coaches do not do, but most clubs do not put them in a condition to be able to do that, because the general feel many times is, oh, you should be grateful to even be a head coach for my team, rather than, I want you to be the head coach for my team so that you can make it grow to something even better than it is now. That's why I chose you. Therefore, hey, let's make sure that you have not necessarily the best people in the world working with you, but people that are willing to learn, that you can help grow. And over time, as more coaches come through, if you professionalize volleyball, the club is left with something with more knowledge and a better structure and better human capital. And that is part of professionalizing volleyball, which in Europe is not happening as much as it could.
no, that's a good conclusion. It's not happening as much as it could. It's happening for sure.